There are things we notice only when they begin to disappear. The ease of rising from a chair, the quiet strength in our calves when walking up a slope, the way the legs once carried us, without complaint, without effort, through the seasons of life. And then, one day, you find yourself hesitating before a staircase, or you sit longer than you used to, not because you want to, but because getting up feels heavier than it should. No injury, no clear explanation, just a slow fading. Like dusk. Dr. Shigeaki Hinohara, the Japanese physician who lived past 100 and treated patients well into his late 90s, once said, "We stay young, not because we avoid aging, but because we keep moving toward purpose." It was never about chasing youth. It was about remaining in motion, about never stepping away from the path of meaning. Hinohara saw the legs not simply as limbs, but as our roots. He believed that the body, like a tree, begins its decline not from the top, but from the bottom. When the roots weaken, the entire being leans closer to the earth. And he was right. Our legs are not just tools for walking. They are the forgotten engine of longevity. They pump blood back to the heart. They stabilize the spine. They stimulate the brain. They carry not just our weight, but our independence, our dignity, and our memories. Every day they move us through the world, and yet so few of us think to protect them until the day they no longer respond as they used to. Dr. Andrew Weil, another voice of reason in modern integrative medicine, calls this functional vitality. He reminds us that true health is not measured by cholesterol numbers or blood pressure readings alone. It's measured by what we can do, how we rise, how we move, how we balance. A person who walks with strength and ease at 80 is far more resilient than someone with perfect lab results, but no ability to stand without effort. But here lies the silent truth. After the age of 60, we begin to lose muscle in the legs, up to 1% per year. It doesn't scream, it doesn't warn. It fades gently, like a candle losing its flame. Every gram lost means less circulation, less balance, less energy. Until one day something small, a rug, a slippery step, becomes a danger we never saw coming. We think aging starts in the joints, in the knees that ache when the weather changes, in the hips that crack when we turn. But the truth is more subtle. Aging begins in the legs that stop carrying us forward, in the muscles that retreat because we no longer ask them to stay. And yet, here's the good news. The body remembers. The legs remember. Strength can return, not all at once and not without patience, but it can return, because your legs are not tired of you. They are waiting for movement, waiting for attention, waiting for you to walk with them again, even slowly, even softly. Hinohara called them the roots of the human tree, and like any good roots, they do not give up. They grow when watered, they strengthen when used, they hold us upright when the winds of life try to bend us. So today, we begin a different kind of conversation, not about aging as loss, but aging as tending to what still holds life, and it starts with the legs, the foundation beneath us, the quiet strength within us, the part of you that's still ready to walk forward, if you let it. It doesn't start with a fall, it doesn't begin with pain. In fact, the greatest loss often begins in comfort, on a soft armchair, a long afternoon on the couch, a habit that forms quietly and lingers unnoticed. 1 hour becomes 2, then 3, then 6, and the legs, once strong and reliable, begin to retreat in silence. This habit of prolonged sitting has a price. Within just 30 minutes of remaining still, the blood flow to the legs begins to slow. The muscles, no longer called to duty, slip into rest mode. But this is no restful sleep. It's a slow withdrawal. With time, they forget how to support, how to lift, how to catch us if we stumble. This is not about laziness. It's not about doing less on purpose. It's about how life after 60 often narrows into smaller spaces, slower days, fewer demands, and in that quiet, the body begins to adapt. The Mayo Clinic has studied this closely. Their findings are sobering. After 60, sitting more than 6 hours a day accelerates muscle loss by 15 to 20%, even in those who consider themselves active. That means you could go for a walk in the morning, do your gardening, or take a yoga class. But if the rest of your day is spent sitting, your legs still interpret the message as withdrawal, retirement from movement, retirement from strength. And what's most dangerous is that this decline arrives without warning. There's no flashing light, no sharp pain, Because in the early stages, it's not the size of the muscle that disappears, it's the connection, a neuromuscular fading. The brain's communication with the legs grows weaker. You may still look strong, but the signals no longer travel with the same urgency or precision. Then one day you find yourself struggling to get up from bed, not because the body is broken, but because the muscle is no longer listening. But it doesn't have to be this way. There is a rhythm the body still understands, a gentle reminder that you're still here, still using these legs, still asking them to participate in life. It can be something as simple as standing for a moment every half hour, lifting your heels 5 times, marching in place from your chair. These movements don't shout, they whisper, "I remember you." And maybe that's what this part of life is about, not pushing the body harder, but inviting it back, softly, regularly, with respect. Because every time you sit too long, your legs think you've retired them, but every time you move, even for a moment, they realize you haven't given up. They realize you're still here. Tip number 1, the 2-minute chair ritual to reactivate dormant muscles. There's a quiet kind of strength that lives in the everyday, in the act of standing up from a chair, in the ability to rise without needing support, in the silent coordination between muscles, balance, and breath. For many, that strength fades so slowly it's barely noticed, until one day the simple act of getting up feels like climbing a small hill. But not all strength comes from heavy lifting or long routines. Sometimes it returns through stillness, through intention, through repetition that feels almost like a ritual. There's something powerful that happens when you sit in a chair and choose not to push off with your hands. When you press your heels into the ground, engage your thighs, and slowly begin to rise, not fast, not forced, but with full attention. And then you pause. Right there, mid-lift, for 3 seconds. That moment of pause is where the transformation begins. The muscles wake up. The brain reconnects. And when you lower yourself back down, slowly and with control, you are not simply sitting again. You are rebuilding what time has taken quietly. This isn't a routine designed for performance. It's one rooted in resilience. Eccentric movement, lowering the body under control, has been shown to stimulate muscle fibers more deeply than rapid movements. And according to physiotherapists at the Harvard Geriatric Center, this kind of movement reactivates the quadriceps and glutes, the very muscles we rely on to avoid falls, maintain balance, and walk with confidence. It is simple, and it is sacred, not because of how dramatic it looks, but because of what it restores. You can repeat this ritual 5 times in the morning, 5 times again in the afternoon, that's it. But each time do it slowly, mindfully, as if you were reminding your body of what it once knew, as if you were telling your legs, "We're not done," because we're not. Strength isn't in how fast you rise, it's in how steadily you return. And the chair, often seen as a place of rest, can become a place of renewal, a quiet space where your body learns again how to trust itself, where each repetition becomes not just an exercise, but a conversation with your own resilience. Tip number 2, the forgotten muscle, calves as your second heart. Not all hearts beat in the chest. Some beat in silence, in the lower half of the body, pumping not blood but life, back to where it belongs. The calves, often overlooked, are more than just muscles that carry us forward. They are a second heart, a hidden engine, and when they weaken, the whole system begins to slow. In youth, we walk without thinking. We push off the ground with the toes, lift the heel with force, and trust our legs to return us safely from every step. But as we age, the smallest movements, the ones we barely notice, begin to lose their energy. The push-off weakens, the calves stop contracting as often, and what once flowed easily upward now begins to pool. After the age of 60, this quiet decline in calf activity affects more than just the legs. Blood no longer returns as swiftly to the heart and brain. The result? Heaviness in the limbs, swelling in the ankles, dizziness that appears after standing, and sometimes even a kind of mental fog, subtle, frustrating, and difficult to explain. Because without proper circulation, the brain doesn't receive the oxygen it once did. What surprises many is this: walking on its own isn't always enough. The act of walking, while essential, often becomes gentler with age. We shuffle instead of stride. We lift less with the toes and rely more on flat steps, and it's precisely that push-off phase, the part where the toes leave the ground, that fades the fastest. But there is still a way back, a way to remind the calves of their duty. And it doesn't require equipment or noise or anything new, just a moment of stillness and a simple movement. Lift the heels slowly. Let the weight shift toward the balls of your feet. Hold, then lower. Do it again, 10 times. Not all at once, but daily, while brushing your teeth, while waiting for the kettle to boil, while holding the edge of the sink. Every heel lift is like sending a thank you note to your heart, a reminder that even now, your body is capable of circulation, of strength, of awakening. The calves, when engaged regularly, bring more than muscle. They bring clarity, warmth, stability. They lift not just the body, but the spirit. And in those quiet moments of repetition, something begins to return. A pulse, a rhythm, a quiet beat from the legs that says, we're still working, we're still here. Tip, the 3, the balance trick that rewires the brain and muscles together. There's a moment we all remember, standing barefoot on the grass as children, swaying slightly, arms out for no reason except joy. In those moments, balance wasn't something we thought about. It was simply there, held quietly by the brain, the feet, and the muscles working in harmony. But as the years pass, balance slips away, not suddenly but softly. A stumble in the garden, a hesitation before stepping onto a curb, a fear that wasn't there before. Most routines for leg strength focus only on the muscle. They target the thighs, the calves, the glutes. But they forget something essential. Movement begins not just in the body, but in the brain. And when balance fades, it's often because the connection between the two, brain and leg, has weakened, not broken, just forgotten. Modern neuroscience now confirms what elders in traditional cultures have always practiced. Balancing on one leg activates deep regions of the brain, the cerebellum, responsible for coordination, and the hippocampus, which guards our memory. This is not just exercise, it is restoration. It is memory work. It is reawakening. In Okinawa, where some of the world's longest living people still move through life with remarkable ease, there is a habit passed down through generations. While brushing their teeth or washing dishes, many elders stand on one leg, not as a challenge, not as a task, but as a way of staying connected to the body, to the ground, to life. It begins quietly, standing near a chair or countertop, one foot gently lifted, even for 5 seconds, then the other. Over time, the body remembers, the brain responds. The circuits between movement and memory flicker back to life, and with every second of stillness, something becomes steadier, inside and out. Balance is not just about preventing a fall. It's about trusting your own feet again. It's about moving without fear. It's about feeling safe in your own skin, because when the body sways and the brain learns to catch it again, confidence returns. Not all at once, but enough to matter. Balance training doesn't just steady your steps, it steadies your mind. It brings back a rhythm we thought was lost. And perhaps more than that, it brings back a kind of quiet joy. The joy of knowing that your body still listens, that your body still answers, that even now, even here, it's still possible to stand strong. Tip number 4, night recovery. How sleep position and circulation affect leg strength. There are nights when the body sleeps, but the legs do not rest. You wake up with a cramp or a heaviness that wasn't there the night before. You place your feet on the floor, stand slowly, and feel the stiffness before the day even begins. And you wonder, how can I feel so tired after lying still for 8 hours? The answer may lie not in the hours slept, but in the way we sleep. In the quiet hours of the night, our legs continue their work, repairing tissue, restoring strength, moving blood through vessels that must stay open and flowing. But for this healing to happen, the body must be positioned for it. Stillness is not enough. The flow must continue. Dr. Andrew Weil speaks often of this hidden connection. He says, regeneration happens during stillness, but only when the body is positioned for flow. That flow is what nourishes the legs during sleep. Without it, morning comes not with energy, but with tension, cramping, and a sense that the day is already behind before it begins. Most people don't realize how much their sleep position affects their recovery. Legs locked straight can strain the joints. Feet left dangling off the edge of the bed reduce circulation. And dehydration, so common at night, shrinks the blood vessels just enough to steal the softness from our mornings. But gentle adjustments can shift everything. A rolled towel beneath the knees softens the tension in the hips and lower back. A slight elevation of the feet invites blood to return to the heart, lifting pressure from the veins. And just a few sips of water before bed, paired with magnesium-rich foods like a slice of banana or a few pumpkin seeds, can quiet the cramps that break the night. This is not about routines. It's about care. The quiet kind. The kind that happens when no one is watching. The kind that says, "My legs matter, my rest matters." Because the truth is simple. Your legs repair when you rest, but only if the river keeps flowing. Sleep is not the end of the day. It is the beginning of strength. And what you do in those silent hours, without even realizing it, may be the very thing that decides how freely you walk tomorrow. When the body is given the conditions it needs to heal, it does not hesitate. It responds, quietly, gratefully, steadily. Your legs don't age. They wait for you to return. There is a rhythm to life that doesn't vanish with age. It simply quiets, waiting to be heard again. In the legs, that rhythm is movement. Not the movement of youth, fast and restless, but the movement of meaning, of still wanting to rise, of still wanting to go somewhere, even if that place is just the garden, the kitchen, or the morning sun at the window. Dr. Shigeaki Hinohara reminded us of something simple and powerful. Movement isn't punishment, it's the celebration of being alive. He didn't see motion as a demand, but as a sign of spirit, of presence, of life continuing its work through the body, even at 90, even beyond 100. And Dr. Andrew Weil, with his calm and grounded wisdom, teaches that strength is not about size or appearance. It's about circulation, about how well the body moves energy, blood, oxygen, attention. That is vitality. That is longevity. That is the kind of health that matters most. There's a quiet truth we often overlook. Most people fear losing their memory. But what often ends independence first is not forgetfulness. It's the inability to stand without help, to move without fear, to trust the legs beneath you. Because when those legs go silent, the world grows smaller. But they are not gone, they have not given up. They have simply grown quiet, waiting for your return. So maybe each day can end with a question, not a demand. Just a whisper. What did my legs do for me today? And what did I do for them? Did I give them a moment of movement, a breath of strength, a chance to remind me that I am still here, still capable, still rooted in this life? Hinohara once said, "The legs that carried you through life are still loyal. They're simply waiting for your command to march again. And that loyalty is not lost. It only sleeps. You are not too late. You are not too far gone. You are simply standing at the edge of something deeply human, the chance to begin again,